Welcome, everybody. Today is Thursday, March 16th, and we are having our monthly ASCA Board of Directors call. In attendance today is Ann, Carol, and Donna, Denise, Gina, Jan, Liz, Susan, myself, Rick, and Calla. So we'll go down the list today, and the first item is the last month's email business. I would entertain a motion to approve that.
This is Denise. I'm to ratify last month's email business.
Thank you, Denise. Do we have a second?
This is Donna. I'll second it.
Thank you, Donna. So we have a motion to ratify last month's email business made by Denise and second by Donna. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Jan, are you on the call? Jan, Carol?
Yep, we're both here.
Okay, we're in open session, so if you would like to go ahead and give your treasurer's report for the membership.
Okay. Let's see. There's lots of feedback still. So if you look in your Dropbox, I have lots of new information. And this will be all posted to the members only section, so they'll be able to view it after the fact. As of today, the only unpaid bill was, besides the inventive bills, is the Aussie Times, the Jackson Group. If you look through our P&L, if you compare to February, it's typically been a slower month, and you'll see the bottom line of this sheet is that there's the 14,000 income, but that is what would be for the Jackson Group invoice that's about to be paid. Is there any questions about any of these reports? The funds have been moved again last month or at the end of the month for February into the final savings account. And our beginning balance was $90,296.21, and our ending balance was $47,147.90. And I did my look at the inventive as of March 9th, and that number was 95,000. And I know that's a little different because we've paid on that sum and done some of that. And then I had my notes of possible things that we should look at for possibly increasing. I believe that's all I have. I have the information for the credit cards in there and the receipts. And so getting everything reconciled with making sure that we're viewing everything.
Okay, thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
We'll go around and see if anybody has any questions for Jan. Ann?
Not really questions, but I wanted to say that I appreciate the detailed credit card information, and that I am also working, as you know, to look at possibly increasing some fees that haven't been increased in over 10 years. So this is not anything dramatic. This should not come as any surprise. And so I'll definitely work with you on that, Jan. But I really appreciate the extra reports, the detailed credit card and the unpaid bills report. I think it gives just more information. So thank you.
You did.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Carol?
So I don't have any additional questions. I thank Ann for all of her work in getting all of these reports for us. Thank you.
Muted.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yeah, I agree that all the extra detail is really helpful. Thank you, Jan, for all the extra work.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
I don't have anything else to add other than just to thank Jan for her work on the treasury report.
Thank you, Denise. Gina?
Yeah, I'm still getting a lot of feedback, so it's kind of hard to understand, but I don't have any questions. But thank you, Jan, and thanks, Sarah, for us.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Liz?
No questions. Thank you, Dan, and make sure you thank Sarah for all the extra details and everything. I think this is great to have all these other reports. So great job. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. Susan?
I just want to ditto what Liz said. Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Susan. I just have a little piece to add. As far as the inventive balance, it's 88,379 and some change. So they have received another payment just recently. So that's kind of an update there. Thank you, Jan, for everything. Did you have any more comments?
I guess my final comment is we really need to either increase or cut things so that we can begin to build these coffers. And we have stopped all programming, so we really need to make a plan. That's all I have to add. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Yes, I know all this will be talked about in a couple of weeks at the spring board meeting. So hopefully we'll have some good information for the membership that comes out of the spring board meeting. So the next topic, Jan, I believe it's yours, the systems liaison report.
With Inventive this time, and the IT team is trying to get up to speed at looking at all the information. So I really have no additional reports from them, unless you can think of something I'm missing. They're still trying to get all the information, and Heidi, Ray, and the resources have been coming in, and it's a lot of information for them to go through. That's it.
Okay, thank you, Jan. Does anybody have any comments regarding the liaison report for the system? Ann?
No, I don't have anything. Thanks.
Okay, Carol?
I don't have any other comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna.
I don't have anything.
Denise?
No, nothing for me.
Gina?
Yeah, I would think top priority should be what Martin had sent. The list of things to close out. We really need to get all that code, all the documentation. We're
That is
paying
what
for.
they're working on. They're gathering all that
Okay,
information.
can I finish? AWS, we're paying for AWS and that needs to be shut down. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gina. Jan, I'll skip you. Liz?
I got nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, Susan?
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, I really don't have anything to add. I know the IT committee is getting up to speed. I did send an email from Jason with Inventive to the board and the IT committee regarding the list that Gina was talking about. So we will look at that a little bit more in depth and see what we're missing. Jan, would you like to close out on this topic?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jan. So we'll move on. Next is a discussion regarding requirements for affiliates to send the entry forms when the trial and show results are sent back to the business office. Liz, I believe this is yours.
Yeah, thanks. So, several people have, over the last few months, talked about or suggested that we get rid of this requirement to send the entry forms to the office. So I thought that maybe it would be a good idea for us to just discuss it a little bit here, where the membership can get up to speed on what this discussion is about, because I think that some of them may have this idea that we can just go ahead and change it right away. The discussion that we've had with the business office, however, is that they use the entry forms on a regular basis, and they resolve conflicts using the entry forms, and so they're not particularly happy about getting rid of the requirement. On the other hand, the affiliates find it, to be an additional cost, and especially if they have to copy their own judges' books and score sheets. So this is something that they had. Some people had contacted the board about and see if we could change it because of that reason. Personally, what I think we could do perhaps is do a 6-month trial without the entry forms starting June 1st. Because if we do a trial like this, I wouldn't want to do it at the time when we're having the last 2 months of shows and trials that count for the finals. So I think that if we decided to go that way, we could just have a 6-month trial of the affiliates not sending the entry forms, but keeping all the paperwork in case something happens. And then after the 6 months, the board could revise and see, review and see what has happened, whether it's something that can be worked out, or if it's just something that is going to have to, the requirement has to stay. That would be, my way to deal with it. But I don't know what the board things about that, or so I guess we need to discuss. Thanks.
Thanks, Liz. We'll go around on this topic. Ann, do you have a comment?
Yes, I was the one who contacted the business office and asked the people who are actually hands-on and use the entry forms. And I started out, like most clubs are saying, being a club member and someone who sanctions trials and sends in results all the time, that, oh, absolutely. I don't know why the office needs this, and the trial secretaries should just keep it, and it's never a problem, and the business office can just contact the trial secretaries if they need information. But the information that I got back from the business office, from the people who use these forms, is that they actually use them and need them so much more than like we trial secretaries realize. Like, I didn't even realize how much that every single one. So I contacted Sarah, who takes care of agility, and Barbara, who takes care of rally and tracking and stock, and Misty, who takes care of confirmation and obedience, and juniors. And all of them said that almost on a daily basis that they have to look at entry forms and get information because a number was entered wrong in the results, or that a name was wrong, or something, and that they use them all the time. So that was frankly something I was really surprised at, because I was all for, no, we don't have to send the entry forms in. That's not a problem. So, but of course, I'd like to not have to do it because, one, for agility, I am not going to scan in all of those entry forms and send them in when I send in my results. I mailed hard copies. My club paid for the postage to mail it in. However, I do think that, and the one positive when I talked to the business office was that they said that if they have had to contact trial secretaries for anything, that they have been very responsive. And so it's not a huge, it's not like they have to wait tons of time and they can never get in contact with them. So at least that's a positive. And so I thought we were back to square one with, okay, everyone's going to have to send entry forms in. But then when Liz said, oh, let's try a trial period, I think that's a wonderful idea. And possibly maybe even a shorter bit to be able to discuss it, that we could say, okay, for any trials in from June 1st to October 1st. So June, July, August, September. Any trials, the trial secretaries do not have to send the paperwork in, because that way, if we have information October 1st, we can discuss it at nationals, at the meetings at nationals. And I think having the office there when we're at nationals would be a good thing. So I am all for trying to make this work. I am all for trying a trial period. And trial secretaries may become enlightened like I did when they're getting tons of calls from the business office checking on entry forms that they didn't think that the business office actually used that much. So thank you. I have a lot to say on this because I'm intimately involved in it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Ann. Carol?
So I too was of the mind that we probably could do away with them. But after seeing all of the responses from the people in the business office, pretty much across the board, the people that work there and deal with it on a day-to-day basis, they seem to want it. One of the things, like, I mean, and so whether you scan it or mail it, but I mean, that's a choice the club can make. If they're going to pay for the postage or just scan it. And so that would be whether or not you want to spend that extra money as the club. I think the trial period is good because I think sometimes maybe we could get people to be a little more responsible. I don't know. But if we did a trial period, and I do like a little shorter time frame, like the 3 months, because I think that sometimes when people start doing something differently, all of a sudden what they thought was going to be really hard isn't as hard as they thought. So I like the idea of a trial period. I really don't want to increase workload on the business office. I think they're way up to their eyeballs in alligators as it is. And but it'd be nice to be able to streamline this a little bit more if we possibly could. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yes, I also was very much in favor of it, and then reading the business office's response. But Liz, I think a trial period is just a great idea. I agree with Ann, maybe doing through September, and then that way we could get office feedback and really be able to talk about it at our nationals meetings and find out if it can work. I think that the trial secretaries are going to have to be maybe a little double check things a little bit more and be available if the office has questions. But I do think it's a great idea to test it and see if it can work out. And maybe once we kind of get into it, it won't be as challenging as we think. But I also agree, I do not want to cause any more work or challenges for the business office because they have a lot on their plate, and we want to, whatever we do needs to be what works best for the business office. That's all I have.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
So I I agree with what everybody has said. We just did as you know, a test trial using a paperless situation, and we should have been a little bit more prepared for it and had a few more significant answers. But I do think we should try a 6-month time frame in that, because the exhibitors know that if they have had problems, if they won something, that they should see a response within 30 days at the most. And I think that's what usually happens. If nothing comes, then they can call the office and say, I was at this show at this time, and where's my title, or where's my score, or something. And at that point, the business office can call the club and say, okay, so-and-so's dog did this and it wasn't on the sheet. And that way we can respond. But sending, we had a really successful trial, I thought. We had 94 entries, runs on Saturday, and just a few less on Sunday. So I thought that was fabulous for us. And that's a lot of paperwork to send back there if they're not going to really need it. So I think a time frame, or a 6-month time frame on that, to try it out and see if it really is necessary to send them all back, or if we can do it the other direction and still be efficient and effective. So that would be my preference. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Gina?
Yeah, I like the trial period idea. Liz had brought up Genius Scan, and I forgot I use that, and you use it on your phone. People say you have to buy a scanner. Well, you don't. You can just use like an app like Genius Scan or Scan, and just send it off if people don't, clubs don't want to pay the postage. I've used it in the past, and it works really good. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Gina. Jan?
Well, the brand new hot phones, actually, when you take a picture, decides if it's a PDF. So you don't even need an app anymore. So yeah, it is pretty easy to do that. I'm a little concerned if one of the things the office looks at is the people's address. So do we need a change of address box and that they would need those? Or are they totally taking all that information out of the membership area? That was one suggestion that somebody in the membership brought up. But I think it's a great idea that we aren't mailing those. If people want to scan them, that'd be great. And if they don't need them, so I'm in support of a trial period. I think 6 months so that they actually can go through it more than once. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Liz, I'll skip you and come back. Susan?
And I like the 4-month time frame, because that way we could compile our results and have the data available for us to discuss at the meeting at Nationals. Those entry forms are never looked at for change of addresses. The address that's in the system that's entered by the individual is what is taken into account. If we do this and we were to stick with our plan, I see the trial secretaries becoming more cautious before they submit any results. So it may be some retraining on the trial secretary's part, so that when they receive that entry form in the mail from competitor XYZ, they utilize the tools at hand to confirm that dog's registration number, so that we can, when the results hit the office, that's going to remove a step for the business office if it's confirmed by the trial secretary before the trial even occurs, whether it's obedience rally confirmation. If that's all input into their system and there are no mistakes, that's going to minimize the number of phone calls that the office is going to have to make back to that trial secretary to confirm that dog's registration number is correct. We're still going to have some mistakes, but that's going to be the reason that the office is going to have to contact those trial secretaries. So this may just encourage them to, confirm that the information is correct upon receipt. And then when it's entered into their database, so that, especially like fragility, if it's submitted electronically, and then as we're working toward that, I just think it's going to be a retraining. But I do like the 4-month time frame to give it a trial run and see how we can modify this for our members and for our business staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. My comments is I agree with just about everything everyone has said. A trial period would be good. I do not want to cause any more added work to the office. This staff is way overworked as it is. But if we, as a club, could find a way to reduce the affiliates cost, it's definitely going to cut down on their postage by not having to send those in. So that's a good thing for the affiliate. But I'm okay with a trial period and come back and discuss at Nationals. Liz, I will leave it with you to finish up.
After Liz, can I add one thing? This is Gina. After Liz.
Absolutely.
You might as well go, because that way I can finish and we can do a motion.
Okay, it's just a quick one. Number one, whatever we do, we need to send out a notice with detailed information and enough time for the affiliates to ask questions before they have to use it. Also, as far as addresses, every member has the ability to go into their profile and change their address. So, Susan's right. They don't need the business office doesn't need the entries for addresses. That's it. You're up, Liz.
Okay.
Thank you. Go ahead, Liz.
Okay. So, so I think that we have pretty much a consensus here that a trial period should be the way to go. I guess the only difference is that some will like the shorter and some will like the 6 months. I think that probably if we reviewed it at nationals, by that point, we should have enough information and data that that the board can use to see whether this is something that ASCA can do from now on, rather than just only for the trial period. And yes, this is gonna fall on the show secretaries and the show coordinators to make sure that everything is legible, and that they have all the information correctly in the actual reports, since the entry forms will not be sent. But I think that if fingers crossed, it works out, and then we don't have to deal with this, because the other thing that we have to worry about is the constant storage of all this paperwork that comes every year from all the programs, all the shows. So I think this will eventually be good for all, assuming that everybody, all the show secretaries and show coordinators make sure that everything is entered correctly, or that they answer the office very timely, in a timely manner, when there's an issue. So what I would like to do then is make a motion that we temporarily rescind the requirement for affiliates to send the entry forms for a trial period up to October 1st. From June 1st to October 1st, that will be the trial period. And then the board can evaluate the situation at nationals and make a decision as to whether to stay in that course or go back to the requirement. So that would be my motion.
I would second that. That's Denise.
Okay, thank you, guys. We have a motion by Liz and a second by Denise to work with a trial period for the affiliates returning the entry forms. One thing that I think that we ought to put in the motions, because I think we've had some assumptions going on, that people were notified. I would like to add in the motion that CALA will send out these notifications, so there's no misunderstanding who's going to do that in the future. So anything that needs to go out to the membership, I think it'd be a good idea to add that into the motion so everybody is on board and on the same page. Liz,
Should this go to the committees also as a notification to the committees?
Liz?
I think that the notice should go out to the Aussie e-news, and it will be on the website. It should be probably in all the media so that everybody knows, and then something to be sent to the affiliates specifically.
Yeah, I know that just for the affiliate renewals and any notices to affiliates, because I'm an affiliate rep, that I know Sarah in the office sends out the affiliate renewals, and presidents and affiliate reps receive emails from her. So not necessarily that would be her responsibility, but if she had that email bank of the presidents and affiliate reps of all the clubs, that should definitely be an email blast to them.
I know, and that Heidi has the list of the presidents and affiliate reps, because I asked her if I could get the list to send out just a reminder for people to apply for nationals 2024 nationals pre-trials and shows. And Heidi said, "Oh, I already have the list. I'll do it." And 5 minutes later, she sent me a text that says it's done. So Heidi has that information.
Cool, great.
This is Susan. At this point, I really don't want to add another single task to Sarah's plate. Thank you.
Right, so I think if Heidi has it, that's the perfect solution.
Yeah, like I said, it took her 2 minutes.
Any other discussion? Carla, would you please restate that motion for us?
Sure, it's a motion by the committee to temporarily rescind the requirement for affiliates to send the entry forms for a trial period from June 1 to October 1. The board can evaluate the situation at nationals and make a decision whether to stay the course or go back to the requirement. Notification will be coordinated by Cala. Second by Kramer.
Okay, thank you, Carla. So if there's no more discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. We'll move on to the next item. Liz, this is yours as well. It's charging affiliates for judges' books and score sheets.
This is because some members had sent this suggestion. Some members don't like the idea of going totally paperless or whatever it may be the reason, but something that maybe what ASCA could do is charge for the judges' books and the score sheets. And so I made sure that I found out how much it is that the office pays for it, or that ASCA pays for the books. And of course, it depends on how many they order at a time. So if they order 1,500, then the price is 37 cents. And if they order, I think it's 650 or something like that, it's then 45 cents. So I suppose that I just wanted to bring it up to the board and make sure that members know that we have received their suggestions and we are talking about them. I'm not sure that I would be ready right now to make a motion regarding this. I always feel a little bit like I know that we need to cut, and like Jan just told us when she did the treasurer's report, either have more income or cut costs. But at the same time, I feel a little reluctant to put a lot of the weight of this on the affiliates. So I mean, when it comes to, say, like the example I did of a confirmation show, it's only 8 sheets per show, so that's $3.20 each show. But then when you come to something like Stock Dog, for example, you have a whole bunch of score sheets, and so it starts adding up. Sometimes the sanctioning fee is not going to cover that if ASCA also pays for the shipping of the packet. And also members also need to remember that the cost to ASCA is not just the paperwork, is also the time that the staff has to spend processing the sanctioning, looking at the premiums, etc., making sure that everything is correct, then going back to the affiliates if something is not right, and then taking the results and processing those. So ASCA also has to pay for that. So I guess my feeling here has always been that the one better solution for this is to basically go paperless, because that way ASCA wouldn't have to pay a lot of money for the books and score sheets, and neither would the affiliates. But this is also going to take a lot of time. I think that it's going to take time for people to learn the process, time for people to accept it. And, the question is, what does the board want to do in that time? Do they want to leave it as is? Or do we want to charge the affiliates? So it's up to the board at this point. But I just wanted to bring it up since so many members have brought it up. That's it. Thanks.
Thank you, Liz. We'll definitely go around on this topic. Ann?
I think one of my first questions, because I know like all the different judges' books and score sheets, I know that the office, when they make their order, they do a huge order. I think one of my first questions would be, what's the current inventory of the office? Because if there's a time period where ASCA would not have an additional cost for printing the score books because we already have a stockpile of them, then that could be some sort of transition period. Because I know, for instance, I remember when we were at the office last spring meeting, and stacks and stacks and stacks of the judges' books and score sheets. So I think that is information that would be helpful. Sure, I'd love to go like completely paperless and everything's on a computer and it's the 21st century. You're out there at a stock trial in the middle of a field and you don't have electricity, and you're not going to want like a computer and a printer right there and a Xerox machine. You're in the middle of a farm. It's not conducive to electronics. So I agree that it's like that's a goal, sure, be great, but we need some sort of transition period. So I'm happy to help in any way I can. I don't have an answer right now. Yeah, my club is paying to have some obedient score sheets mailed to me because that's what I need, because I, as trial secretary, choose not to do it online or paperless. So yes, good start to a discussion. I think we will discuss it further. I think we can get clubs and members and trial secretaries input. So let's keep the conversation going, and happy to help in whatever way I can. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Carol, any comments?
Yeah, so I would like to say that, and I'm mostly familiar with stock. I don't know a lot of the paperwork of the other programs, but stock does have a lot of paperwork involved with it. But I do think that it would be prudent to have the clubs start to take over ownership of that. And if there is a lot of forms at the office, I think the clubs that want to use those, we should exhaust that supply, but I'm probably not in favor of printing any additional ones. I think we do need to make a transition. It doesn't, but I think it should be a choice. If you want to have the paper ones and you want to do it and make your copies on carbon copies, or if you want to scan them, or if you want to, I think that should be the club choice. I don't think it should be dictated to them, and I think they should choose how their trial secretary knows what they're comfortable in doing. If they're comfortable in doing a lot of it paperless electronically, good. I do know that in stock, like there is a big value in having a copy of a score sheet. How we get that copy, whether the club makes has a copy machine and makes a copy, or whether they use NCR paper, or whether they request it. But I think eventually it should become the club's responsibility. In all the other venues, the organizations do not supply paperwork. The clubs are responsible for their own score sheets in whatever manner they want. And I've seen score sheets that were, 5 by 7, and I've seen them ones that were like 8 by 11. So, I mean, but because they make their own, but they are all a standard score sheet. There's a template for it, or a master, whatever you want to call it, and they make it. And so I really think that we will move that way. And as we get younger and younger people involved, and I personally, I will tell you, I'm the last one to accept change on a personal level. I am not that person. If I could ride a horse to the grocery store every day, I would. I mean, that's me. So, but I do think that it's the same in other venues, and we need to progressively move away from it being the office responsibility and for it to become more of the sanctioning club responsibility. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
So yes, like I agree with Carol, we do other venues also, and none of the other organizations provide paperwork for us. We have worked out ways to do that. I do think that it should be the club's choice how they want to do that. Like Carol said, there are a lot of different options. I think sometimes it's hard to make those changes and come up with those ideas, but there are ways to work it out. I would like to get feedback from the affiliates. I would like to hear from affiliates and know, like, if that will be, financially a hardship for them. Getting those score sheets or getting the copies, whatever they end up doing, is a small expense, but I know it can add up. There have been times when we've just had to raise our entry fees a little bit to pass those costs along to exhibitors, and it's been a small amount, so it has not had a negative effect on our clubs. I think the judges' books would certainly be easy to go paperless with. I find most people at this point use their phone to look at the judges' books anyway, or their tablet or whatever. So I do think that this is definitely something we should work towards without it being a hardship, finding ways that it's not a hardship on the affiliates. And I do agree that we should find out what our stock is at the business office and make sure that we use that up before we make these changes. That's all I have.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
Well, these ladies have made it very simple, because I really agree with everything that Donna and Carol had to say. I know that we did this stock dog trial, and we're still we're finishing up the paperwork on our end right now. Barb sent me the thing on the computer, and my computer skills are not great, so I had a little bit of doubt on that. But actually, I think at the end of the day, it'll be a lot easier. The exhibitors didn't like the fact that they did not go home with a score sheet. And Carol forgot to mention the fact that there's no rain involved too with their trial, like there was with ours. So, we were fortunate that we had a motorhome there with a generator, so we could use a printer. And I think a lot of the people, seems like on the first day we printed a lot of scorecards off afterward. But I think what we're going to try to do is take a picture of it and email it to the exhibitors with a note that says, if you'd like your scorecard in a different fashion, let me know and I'll be happy to mail it to you. Make a copy and mail it, because I think it'd be easier to do they can print it off of their computer as easily as I can, as long as it transfers from a picture to the computer properly and prints out. So that would be a choice that I would like to make, because then you don't have all those the extra paper, the extra stamps, whatever. And as far as paying for the packet, if you don't have all the paperwork come to you, you may pay some for paper here, but I don't think it'll be equal to the postage. So I think that if the clubs choose to use paper copies, then maybe they have to pay for the postage. They certainly pay for it going back, and so I think that we just, the same thing. Let's give it a trial period and see how it works. So that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise. Gina?
Yeah, I really don't have anything to add. I think some good points are brought up. I definitely would like to know the inventory. And Denise brought up a good point about mailing or emailing the scores later. And that's the agility program that's used. The next day, we get an email and it contains all our choose, non-choose times, everything. And it works out really well. So that's definitely something to think about. So that's about all I have. Thanks.
Thank you, Gina. Jan?
Well, I'm at the end, and everybody has brought up all the points. The other in stock, if you do any other venues, you're used to making the forms. In tracking, all the other venues, you have to make the own forms. So I actually told them they didn't need to make any more tracking forms for tracking, because they were out and everybody was good at producing their forms. And you can do NCR, you can print it at your own printer and do those yourself if you want, or you can copy, you have a whole host of things that are possibilities. PDF it after. We usually do both. They get a copy and we PDF it. So it's kind of up to the club how much they want. And I think it is important that the members still get whatever they're expecting. So like in the Stock Dog, they need to get a piece of paper and the judges are still able to give comments and do all that information. But I would definitely support this process. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jan. Liz, I'll skip you and come back for final comments. Susan?
Okay, so I will make a trip to the office next week and ascertain the quantity of stock on hand for each program as far as the books go. And I just really think we market this as a choice for each individual affiliate club. You have the option of doing it yourselves and spending a little bit of money, or you pay the ASCA business office to mail you all of the books that you are requesting and requiring for your event, and you're going to pay more money. So I don't know that that's actually persecuting the affiliate clubs, but it definitely puts the monkey on their back to make that choice and decision as to what is best for that club. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. My opinion on this right now, I don't know that we're ready to go this route just yet. There's a whole lot more that needs to be discussed. I do like the idea of putting the onus on the affiliate, letting them have a choice of which direction they would like to go. Some of these affiliates have members that are very IT savvy, and they would just prefer to print it off and do it themselves and email it back. And there's some that are all old school. I don't want to put a hardship on the affiliates for sure. So I personally don't know that we're ready just yet to do that, but that's just my opinion. Liz, final comments?
Many good points have been brought out, and I think that is just getting this topic started, and kind of like, the affiliates also need to start thinking about it. What what is going to work better for them, not only with cost, but also with the time that it takes the people that work with the affiliate, the volunteers, how much time is going to take for them to do certain things, whether it's paperless, whether it's printing it, or whatever it might be. So I think that this is the time for the affiliates to start thinking about ways in which they can minimize their costs and still, you know, continue doing the trials and shows. And at the same time, how can we help ASCA minimize costs? So it is a goal that I think is two-pronged, right? So we need the affiliates' cooperation and their suggestions, and see how we can make it work. So I'm actually glad that I brought it up because many good things came out of the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Our current financial situation is the reason these topics are coming up. So I think they're good topics and need to be discussed and explored more. But I think it's something to think about, and it's something for the affiliates to think about. So I would love to hear some of their feedbacks, pros and cons, and so ASCA can move forward. So with that being said, I'll go to the next topic, which is another one. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, I know that we, Liz and I talked about this the other night, that with concerning the clubs paying for the packet, there was supposed to have been a notice that went out to those clubs about this this process going to take effect, and it was going to be like a 30-day, you know, in advance. And the process, the letters did not go out, and I know there was one of our clubs contacted me and said, "What the heck is this? We're paying for this now." So I think that we need to back up a little bit on it and be sure that the letter is sent out that says that this is a potential situation, and word it how everybody feels that it should be worded, and send that out to all the affiliates before we implement them paying for their packet, so that they know exactly what's coming up and doesn't catch them by surprise. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. That was a good lead into our next topic, because that was actually on the agenda to discuss that. Notice to the affiliates charging to show paperwork. The board did pass a motion back in January to charge affiliate clubs for the cost of shipping show paperwork, but the business office did not send out a notice as directed. So we dropped the ball there somewhere. So I apologize up front to any affiliates that were asked to pay for their show paperwork and not having any knowledge that this was going to happen. The board will discuss options moving forward with the notification and any considerations to be made. So with that being said, I know we'll go around again, but this is a topic that caught some affiliates off guard. They were not happy about it, and are we ready for this? So I would like to just go around and let each director comment on this topic. Anne?
Yeah, I think obviously, excuse me, that we had it all set, we voted on it, oh, it's going to take an effect in a month, which would have been plenty of time, and then nothing was put out. Yeah, so I think, I mean, we passed the motion, and so I think that we just need to figure out the appropriate time frame to notify the affiliates, get feedback from the affiliates, and then therefore actually make it effective. Thanks.
Thank you, Ann. Carol?
So since we had a motion on GoToMeeting, I feel it's very unfortunate that the ball got dropped and that the affiliates were not notified. So I really do think that we do need to send out notification to all the affiliates as of tomorrow and say that in 30, actually I just picked like May 1st, that they're going to have to have it, that they will have a fee for paperwork. And it will give people time to decide if they're going to produce their own paperwork, if they're going to get paperwork from the office, how they're going to do that. Because you can do sanctioning online, right? And so that will give them plenty of time to be able to deal with it. I apologize profusely to the clubs that have already been caught in this, because that was not the intent of the board. We thought that we were giving them 30-day notice and that we were going to be in good stead. But we've already made the motion. We've already passed the motion. I think we just need to make sure we send out the letter and then pick a date and say that it's going to be effective. And, you know, I'd suggest May 1st, but we could pick June 1st. That would be the end of the trial year, and go forward from that. I think we'll get feedback along the way, but I also think that, I mean, in other venues, we already do this, and it's a norm. And I think it will become the norm as soon as people get used to doing it. I mean, like I said, I'm the last person that likes change, and sometimes it's just what it is. But once you change and you start doing it, it becomes the norm, and it's not as painful as people might think. So it just, nobody likes the idea of change. I'm right on board with that. But this is definitely something we've already voted on and passed. We just need to put in play the letter and move forward. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Carol. Donna?
Yes, I would agree that we just set a new effective date. I know that it had been 30 days, I believe, from when this motion was put into effect. So we could just do 30 days from when the notice comes out. And everybody does need to be notified. And then, like Carol said, it gives them a chance to make adjustments and get things in order. And I apologize also for, I mean, there was just a communication thing and it got missed. So we need to send out a notice, and we need to come up with a new effective date.
Thank you, Donna. Denise?
I'm in agreement with what Donna just said. So that's all.
Okay, thank you, Denise. Gina?
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add, but we might follow up ourselves and make sure that the notice does actually go out. And is it the business office that's sending it, or are we going to change that to Cala sending it? Just curious on that one.
Yeah, that's a good question, Gina, and I would personally like to see Calla do it, just because she's on this call, and the business office is really not part of this call, and so Calla knows it needs to be done. We can rely on her to do it, and it will be done in a timely fashion. So that would be my vote, but of course it's up to the rest of you guys.
Could Calla do the letter and send it to Heidi, who has the list of all the affiliates, and Heidi can send it out?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I've already talked to Heidi, and she is prepared to send it out tomorrow as long as we get it to her before 3 p.m.
Perfect.
Thank you, Calla. Any other comments?
Oh, I just have one comment.
Go ahead.
Gina. And it's just kind of, I'm joking, but not. All through my years in the corporate environment, it was pounded into our heads, and there were slogans on the wall, and everything had this on it, and it said, "Change is good, embrace change." So we might want to put something out to the membership and just say, come on, guys, change is good, embrace it. That's all, just kind of joking.
Okay, thank you. I guess my comment is, yes, it's an added cost to the affiliates, but for example, I filled out some pre-entry paperwork for a confirmation show this past week, and my pre-show or pre-entry per day fee was $12. That's ridiculously low. We could easily build in cost on our entry fees to help pay for this. I know there's some clubs that are already paying pretty good fees or charging pretty good fees, but there's still a lot of them out there that, in which I get it, they're trying to help draw entries and get people in, but $12 a day for a pre-entry we're past those times, and these affiliates need to make some money to have this change. So that would be a suggestion from me, is the affiliates start looking at their entry fees and start charging to cover some of this cost.
But on the other hand, stock, I just wrote a check for 3 days, and just entries alone was $700. So, it kind of depends upon what discipline you're entering.
Absolutely, it does.
And Rick, this is Susan. I would like for us to go to the 30-day route so that April 17th would be the effective date, if that could be included in that letter. Thank you.
This is Liz. Just to clarify, because we keep saying paperwork. This is not to pay for the actual paperwork. It's to pay for the shipping. So what the office should be doing is, once they get the request for sanctioning, is figure out how much paperwork they're going to need to put in that box or envelope, and then figure out what that charge is going to be and let the affiliate know. And then the affiliate can then send it, probably with the results, I would think. But yes, it's for shipping. Thanks.
Thanks for clarifying that, Liz. Susan, what was that date again?
30 days would be April 17th. It's a Monday, so that should be able to, get them through the weekend of the 16th. But it certainly, it rushes us up a little bit before the end of the show year, and but it also should balance out those costs that we're seeing for those clubs to actually. They need to pay when they are asking for an exorbitant amount of judges' books to come to them. The weight of that box is driving up the shipping costs, and the sanction fee in many of those cases, there's no way the sanction fee will offset the cost of shipping those boxes when you add everything else that's going into that. So that would be my thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that, Susan. I mean, I previously have been keeping track of it, and that I pay a $25 sanctioning fee for each trial. And when I get my obedience and rally paperwork, here's a box that cost almost $20 for ASCA to ship to me with all this material. And I just think to myself, imagine every single solitary club that has all the sanctioning, that is just a ton of money. And a lot of that stuff we can get on the website. So, yes, and it's each club for the resources that they have, and clubs are very different. So putting out the notice, getting feedback, all good.
Okay, lots of good comments. I do want to go around right quick and get a yes or no on that April 17th date. Ann, are you good with that?
Yes, 30 days from a notice sent tomorrow. Absolutely. Thanks.
Thank you. Carol?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Denise?
Yes.
Gina?
Yes.
Jan?
Yes.
Liz?
Yes.
Susan?
Yes.
And Rick is yes. So Callie, will you please add that date to your letter that you're going to send out, Heidi, to be posted? Thank you for the feedback, everybody. So we'll move on to the last topic, and that's the 2024 Nationals judges. Gina, this is yours.
Okay, all the finals judges have been approved except for the junior handling finals. So I would like to make a motion to approve Corey Lambert for junior handling finals.
Okay, so we have a motion by Gina to approve Corey Lambert as the ASCA Junior Nationals Finals judge. Any comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Gina?
Okay, since I didn't get any feedback on any of these judges, I want to approve the nationals judges that we have so far as a slate. So I move to approve for Agility Nationals, Kristen Green and Jackie Orico. For Confirmation Nationals, Janet Kelly for Intact Best of Breed, Heidi Mobley for Intact Dogs, Tina Burks for Intact Bitches, Carrie Kirtley for Altered Stud Dog Brood Bitch Generation Breeder Showcase, and Deanna Williams for Non-Regular Puppies, Veterans Brace, and Witch. We don't have dog jumping. Junior handling nationals would be Tammy Gabori. Okay. Obedience nationals is Heinz Gunder and Heinz Gunder Giesel and Christy Rasmussen. National stock dog would be Cheryl Paget Cattle, John Nepper Sheep, Devonna Pierce Ducks, and for MBA would be Renee Watson. And we don't have the tracking judge yet. So that's it.
Okay, thank you, Gina. So we have a motion on the floor to approve.
Judges, I gave them to Denise.
Oh, well, it's not on the list.
Okay, I didn't see your list, so I will get that to you. Thank you.
Well, Denise, do you want to add it to this slate right now?
Yeah, the last I saw from Jan was that she had 2 people, but she needed to finalize something. So I'm sorry about that, Jan. Who were the 2 tracking?
It's Roy Fair, Fair, and Francis Keys, Keays.
Okay, so we'll add tracking nationals, Roy Fair, and Francis Keys.
Yes.
Thank you, Jan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jan. So we have a motion on the floor to accept the national slated judges that Gina just mentioned. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. That was the last item that we had for open session. I would like to ask the board to remain on the call. I would just like to make a comment to the membership that are spring board meeting is a couple of weeks away. Callie will be posting the agenda shortly. I encourage everybody to take a look at it, give us feedback, look at all the different agenda topics. There's a lot going to be discussed, a lot going on in ASCA right now, and we would love to hear from everybody. Once again, everybody is welcome to come to this meeting. It is open session except for what items that may be in executive session. So we would never turn anybody away. So if we have any local folks that would like to sit in and listen, you're more than welcome. But there's a lot going to be discussed. We've got a lot going on with ASCA right now. And this board is going to sit down together and we're going to hash this out. So that's all I have. Thank you for joining us and have a good evening.
Right.